Hello ladies and gentlemen. We are going to do 5.6. We're going to find all of the zeros of our polynomial functions. Your objectives for the day: we're going to find our zeros, or the x-intercepts, of our polynomial functions. We will potentially use a combination of graphing and division to find all of those zeros. You are going to need a grapher, and I'm going to do almost all of our examples on my grapher. So you will want to have one when you go through these notes. All right. A couple of things to remember. Remember that the degree, the degree of the equation is going to determine how many solutions, and remember there are words that are used interchangeably, so it might say how many x-intercepts, how many zeros a polynomial will have. Alrighty, so that's going to be the one thing that we need to remember. Alrighty, so I'm just going to start by doing some examples, and I will walk you through the calculator steps. You're going to probably want to write those down to help you remember. But let's say I'm given a function f of x is equal to x cubed plus 9x squared plus 23x plus 15. We know, because it's a third degree polynomial, that it should have 3 solutions. So I'm going to get out my handy dandy grapher, see if I can get it into a place where you can see it. Alright, I'll cover up the function for just a moment and then I'll move it. Okay, clear. Alright, there we go. I think now you can see it. So I'm going to go to my y equals. I'm going to clear what's there. Remember that you need to make sure that your scatter plots are turned off, because if they're not, it will affect your graphs. So I'm going to go back to my y equals, and I'm going to enter the equation that I just covered up. So I'm going to enter x to the third plus 9x squared plus 23x and then plus 15. So remember we said it should have 3 solutions. Do a zoom 6. There's 1, 2, 3. Yay! I have all 3 zeros. There will be times in a couple of sections when we won't be able to see all 3, and then we would have to do other means to find them. So let me walk you through this process to find those zeros, see if I can get the glare not so bad. The first thing that you're going to do, so remember we entered the equation and then I would do a zoom 6. Okay, and I can see all 3 of these fairly clearly. So now I'm going to do a second calculate, and I'm going to find the zeros. Okay, so I'm going to do second calculate, number 2 for 0. Now the question that your calculator is asking you is for left bound, right bound. So I'm going to sketch our graph and kind of try to illustrate that. My graph doesn't look very nice. But if this is my 0, and I had an imaginary line running through that 0, this would be the left-hand side of that 0, and this would be the right-hand side. So notice that my calculator is asking me for the left bound, so I'm going to use my left arrow, and I'm going to find my leftmost 0 first, and I need to be on the left-hand side. So if my point of intersection is here, this is now to the left, and it doesn't matter where to the left you go, just so that you're to the left of that point, and I'm going to hit enter. Now notice it's asking me what is the right bound, so I'm going to go on the right hand side. I have to cross the x-axis, and I want to be on the right hand side, and I'm going to hit enter and enter one more time, and it's telling me that that 0 is a -5, and I'm going to label that on my graph. Okay, now I want to find the next 0, so I do the same thing, second calculate 0, and now I'm going to go to the left, but notice that now my left is up above. This is now the left hand side, and that is the right hand side. So I'm going to hit enter for the left, cross my x-axis, enter, enter, and I get that this next point is a negative 3. Then I'm going to correct my graph a little bit, and we'll just pretend that that little piece isn't there. My next 0 is sitting right there, so I'm going to find it. Second, calculate 0. And my left, I'm going to use my arrow to move over. I have to go past the bottom of the curve, and I'm going to hit enter. And then I go on the other side of the line, enter, enter. And I know that that particular 0, I'll put it out here, is a negative 1. So then I would list my zeros for this function, and I would say x was equal to a negative 5, a negative 3, and a negative 1. So I was able to find all 3 zeros graphically, which is very nice. All right, let me do another example. Now, we actually have a really, really short lecture today, which is very nice, because most of it's going to be done graphically. So I have x to the third minus 8x squared, and then plus 11x plus 20, and the directions are going to say find the zeros. Okay. All right, so again, I'm going to bring in my handy dandy calculator. I'm going to cover up my equation, otherwise I can't get my calculator in there. Okay, clear what I had entered, and I'm going to enter the one I just covered up, sorry. So I'm going to do x to the third minus 8x squared, and then plus 11x, and then plus 20. And then I'm going to do a zoom 6. All right. So just like I did on the last one, I'm going to make a little sketch of my graph. Okay, and even though I can't see the top of it, I know that it's going to do something like that. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3 zeros that I am able to see on my graph. And that's actually not a point, it's a nice little curve. Alrighty, so I'm going to find the leftmost 0 first. So I do second, calculate, 2 for 0, and I'm on the left hand side of that point. I hit enter. Now I move to the right hand side of the point, enter, enter, and I know that that point is a negative 1. And notice that I sketched my graph, and now I am labeling those points of intersection or zeros on my graph, which is what I'm going to expect you to do. So now I'm going to do second, calculate value again. Now I'm going to go to the left hand side. Should be getting close. There it is. I'm going to hit enter. And this one down here just barely has a little dip, so I'm going to stay pretty close to the x-axis, because if I go past that curve, it will assume that I'm talking about the next 0. Enter, enter, and I have that little 0 right there is 4. I'm going to do it one more time. Second, calculate 0. Again, I have to get pretty close to the x-axis to make sure that I go on the other side of the bottom. And then cross over, go a little bit farther, enter, enter, and now I have 5. And then when I'm done, sorry, my paper just slid, I would list my 3 zeros. I would say x is equal to a negative 1, 4, and 5. Okay, so pretty easy process when we can use our grapher. It actually makes life pretty easy. All right, I have one more example for you, and then we'll get to your problems, which is glorious. I told you it was a super short lecture today. So now I'm going to have f of x is equal to 2x to the fourth plus 5x cubed minus 18x squared minus 19x, and then plus 42. So this is a 4th degree polynomial, so I should have 4 zeros. All right, I'm hoping you have that written down. I'm going to bring in my trusty calculator. I'm going to take away our previous example, so I'll clear. And I'm going to enter this one. It was 2x to the fourth plus 5x to the third minus 18x squared minus 19x, and then plus 42, and I'm going to do a zoom 6. Alrighty, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so I'm actually going to find these two first, and then I'm going to zoom in on this area, and I'll show you how to do that so that we can see those a little bit better. So if I sketch my graph, okay, it's going to be really weird, but I'm probably going to have something that looks like this and then this. So I think that's what my graph looks like, and if we'll remember, it's a fourth degree. The leading coefficient is positive, which means its end behavior should be up and up. All right, so now let's find these two zeros on this side. So I'm going to do a second calculate 0, and I'm going to go to the left. Oops, there's that one. I need to be up to the left. Okay, even though I can't see my cursor, I know it's on that line and it's up above, so I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to cross, enter, enter. And I get that this point right here is a negative 3.828. Remember, I like 3 decimal places. Then I'm going to do the next 0, 2, and I'm going to go to the left a bit. Sorry, wrong direction, to the right. I hit enter. I go to the right hand side of that point, enter, enter, and I get a negative 2 for that one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cursor kind of in the middle of that area. You can kind of see it flashing. And I'm going to do a zoom to enter. Okay? And it will zoom right in on that little portion of my graph. How cool is that? So now I'm going to do a second calculate 0. And I'm going to go to the left, enter, to the right, enter, enter. And I know that that point right there is 1.5. I have one more 0 left to find, second calculate 0. Now I'm going to go, you have to go past that bottom curve, past the minimum, enter, and then enter, enter. And I would say that that one is 1.828. So now all I have left to do is list my zeros. I had a negative 3.828. We had a negative 2, 1.5, and 1.828. And those are the 4 zeros of my function. Very nice. Alrighty, so now let me give you your problems. Just like I did, you're going to want to put the equation into your grapher. Then you're going to want to sketch a graph, label the zeros on your graph, and then list them. Okay, so I'll write that down for you. I want you to find all zeros, sketch the graph, label all of your zeros, and then list your zeros. Remember, you should have as many zeros as you do as the degree of the equation. My first equation, f of x is equal to 2x cubed plus 2x squared minus 8x minus 8. Your second one is 3x cubed plus 19x squared plus 4x minus 12. And then your third, and I'm only going to give you 3 because I don't think these are very difficult, is 3x to the 4th minus 6x cubed minus 32x squared plus 35x minus 12. Alrighty, you have 3 graphs. Find the zeros, sketch the graph, label the zeros, and list the zeros. Alrighty, that was just a 14-minute video. Lucky you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.